गुरुः शिष्यं प्रबोधयेत्। पृथिव्यां नास्ति तद्द्रव्यं यद्दत्त्वा चानृणो भवेत्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर् गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। भ्रातस्तिष्ठ तले तले विटपिनां ग्रामेषु भिक्षामट। स्वच्छन्दं पिबयामुनं जलमलं चीरैः सुकन्थां कुरु। सम्मानं कलयाति घोरगरलं नीचापमानं सुधाम्। श्रीराधा मुरलीधरौ भज सखे वृन्दावनं मा त्यज। नमः कमलना भाय। नमः कमल मालिने। नमः कमल पादाय। नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Eternal seekers of divine bliss, let's sing from page number 137, book number 1, page 137. धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करु वंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करु वंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन।
करुवंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
होड़ जब होए प्रेमरु नंद नंदन।
होड़ जब होय प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
जीते नित प्रेम हारे नित 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 नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा जग के पिता हैं नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा जग के पिता है नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया वाय ब्रज नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया
Everyone please clap and sing.
नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया वाय ब्रज नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया वाय ब्रज नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा भूख प्यास नहीं नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा भूख प्यास नहीं नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
प्रेम ने बनाया भूखा प्यासा नंद नंदन।
जाको नाम जपी जगन काटे भव बंधन।
जाको नाम जपी जन काटे भव बंधन।
जाको नाम जपी जन काटे भव बंधन।
जाको नाम जपी जन काटे भव बंधन।
सोई उखल बंधा मांगे मुक्ति गोपी जन।
सोई उखल बंधा मांगे मुक्ति गोपी जन।
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 नाचे जाकी मायावश बड़े बड़े ज्ञानी जन।
नाचे जाकी मायावश बड़े बड़े ज्ञानी जन।
सोई गोपी छाछ पर नाचे नंद नंदन।
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 धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन। करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन। करुवंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
श्रुति करे अस्तुति जेहि नंद नंदन।
श्रुति करे अस्तुति जेहि नंद नंदन।
सोई तुतुराय बतराय गाय बछरन।
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 जो न जाय शंभु समाधि नंद नंदन।
जो न जाय शंभु समाधि नंद नंदन।
सोई गारी खाने जाए घर घर गोपी जन।
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 जाको कहा वेद है अजित नंद नंदन।
जाको कहा वेद है अजित नंद नंदन।
सोई पायो रण छोर नाम 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 नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा आनंद कंद 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 नंद नंदन।
सोई माय गोद हित रोए नंद नंदन।
सोई माया गोद हित रोए नंद नंदन।
रोए नंद नंदन। बोलिए रोए नंद नंदन।
रोए नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन। करुवंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन। करुवंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा डर डरे डर नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा डर डरे डर नंद नंदन।
सोई माय सांटी लखी डरे नंद नंदन।
सोई माय साटी लखी डरे नंद नंदन।
सोई माय सांटी लखी डरे नंद नंदन।
सोई माय साटी लखी डरे नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा जग वंदन नंद नंदन।
श्रुति कहा जग वंदन नंद नंदन।
सोई करे नित राधा रानी पद वंदन।
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 राधा रानी पद वंदन।
राधा रानी पद वंदन।
राधा रानी पद वंदन।
रानी पद वंदन।
धनी धनी प्रेम
धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन
उमा रमा चापे पग जेहि नंद नंदन
उमा रमा चापे पग जेहि नंद नंदन
राधा रानी पग चापे सोई 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 नंद नंदन
श्रुति कह वेद वेद्य जेहि नंद नंदन
श्रुति कह वेद वेद्य जेहि नंद नंदन
ओ श्रुति कह वेद वेद्य जेहि नंद नंदन
श्रुति कह वेद वेद्य जेहि नंद नंदन
सोई गोपन बने घोड़ा 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 नंद नंदन
श्रुति कहा बुद्धि पर जेहि नंद नंदन
श्रुति कहा बुद्धि पर जेहि नंद नंदन
उठवावे गोबर टोकरी गोपी जन
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 उरलाना चाहे जेहि योग बल योगी जन
उरलाना चाहे जेहि योग बल योगी जन
सोई राधा को मनावे रोके नंद नंदन
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 जो है सारे जग का ही दाता नंद नंदन
जो है सारे जग का ही दाता नंद नंदन
दाता नंद नंदन
दाता नंद नंदन
सोई बना राधा का भिखारी 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 नंद नंदन
सनकादि कृपा चाह जेहि नंद नंदन
सनकादि कृपा चाह जेहि नंद नंदन
राधा कृपा चाह सो कृपालु नंद नंदन
राधा कृपा चाह सो कृपालु नंद नंदन
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 राधा कृपा चाह सो कृपालु नंद नंदन
राधा कृपा चाह सो कृपालु नंद नंदन
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन
धनी धनी प्रेम धनी धनी नंद नंदन करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन
करुवंदन प्रेमरु नंद नंदन
करुवंदन
करु वंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
करु वंदन प्रेम अरु नंद नंदन।
बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Shri Krishna has innumerable powers, and they are all under his control, which is natural. The powerful one has the powers under his control. But there is one power that is so powerful that it brings the Almighty Lord under its control, and that is the power of love. So Jagatguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj says, blessed is that power of love. Dhani Dhani Prem. Blessed is the power of love, and then blessed is Nandanandan, blessed is Shri Krishna. Love has always conquered God. Every time there's a devotee full of love for Shyam Sundar, genuine love, true love, and there is Shyam Sundar, one who has innumerable energies, the omniscient one, the omnipresent one, but he becomes very small when faced with love of the devotee. Bhishma Pitamah he took a vow that he would force Shyam Sundar, Shri Krishna, to lift a weapon during the Mahabharata, the war of Mahabharata, the battle of Mahabharata. Shri Krishna had taken a vow not to lift a single weapon during this battle. But faced with the vow taken by the devotee, such is the power of the love of the devotee that Shri Krishna had to forget about his own vow, and he took up a weapon in the form of a wheel of a disabled chariot. The devotee always wins. This is why the devotee says, you may as well give up, O Nandanandan, because you know you will be defeated. Hare ho, haroge, haroge hare ho sab din. You have always lost, so you may as well give up. The power of love is very, very sweet, and it brings the Supreme Lord under its full control. So whenever there's a competition between love and Nandanandan, love always wins and Nandanandan always loses. One of the devotees of Shri Krishna is Surdas. Surdas was a blind devotee. He was walking on his way. He was chanting the names of Radha and Krishna when he fell into a ditch. But he was not disturbed because Surdasji, he had such faith that he says, whoever put me here will take me out also. Also, I am not worried. He kept on chanting the names of Radha and Krishna. He thought, I'll do my work and I don't need to worry about anything. So he kept on chanting Radhe Govind, Govind Radhe, Radhe Govind, Govind Radhe. And Shri Krishna had to come to rescue him. Pretending to be a passerby, a farmer who was just going to his fields to tend to them, Shri Krishna said, "Oh Baba, I see you have fallen into a ditch. I will take you out. Grab hold of my hand." Shri Krishna extended his hand, his merciful hand, and Surdas grabbed hold of it, and immediately he thought, this is not the touch of an ordinary person. Ho na ho, ye mere Thakur ji hai. It must be my Shyam Sundar. It must be my beloved, because I have never, ever had this kind of touch before. Countless lives have passed. I have always had the touch of the world, but this is a different touch. It's a divine touch. This is the touch of my Lord. So Bhagwan Shri Krishna brought Surdas out from the ditch, and Surdas just would not let go of Shyam Sundar's hand. Shri Krishna said, Baba, let me go. I have to go to my fields. I have to take care of them before sunset. Shri Krishna said, I'm not letting you go. After countless lifetimes of you evading me, now I have finally grabbed hold of you. Do you think I'm going to let you go? No. And Shri Krishna just gave a little tug. He used a little bit of his strength and he gained his freedom. Surdas ji then says, this blind, old, weak old man says, Baah chudaye jatu ho, nibal jani ke mohi, hirday te jab jahuge, marad badongo tohi. This ordinary person throws an open challenge to Shri Krishna. He says, you have gained freedom from my physical hold, but that does not prove your strength. Your strength will be proven if you manage to gain freedom from the prison of my heart. I have imprisoned you in my heart, and you can never escape from this prison. I challenge you, my Lord. Imagine an ordinary man throwing a challenge to the Supreme Lord. Yes, it's an ordinary man, but he has the great power of love with him. He has love in his heart for Shyamsundar, and Shyamsundar is defeated. He becomes very small and the devotee becomes very big. Such is the nature of love. Such is the power of love. The Vedas say that Shri Krishna does not experience hunger or thirst. Esha atma prahita papma vijaro virmityur vishoko vijighatso pipasah satyakamah satyasankalpah. He is ajighatsah and apipasah. Hunger and thirst don't go near him. He doesn't get hungry or thirsty. But love has made him hungry as well as thirsty. The love of Yashoda Maiya has made him hungry, so he asks her for roti. Maiya, Maiya mohi dade makhan roti. Thakurji asks his mother, begs his mother Yashoda, Maiya, won't you give me some butter with roti, with mishri mixed in it, mixed into the butter? How is it that he's hungry? Then he's asking for chach, buttermilk to drink. He's asking for milk to drink. How is it that he is now thirsty? It is love that has made him hungry and thirsty. He has forgotten his almightiness. He has forgotten that he is the Almighty Lord who doesn't need to eat or drink. Once when a devotee said to Sri Maharaji, Maharaji, you know everything. I thought I didn't need to write you a letter to tell you how I am doing because you know everything. You know how I am. Sri Maharaji's answer was, don't think like that. Because if you think like this, then one day you will not give me food and drink also. You will think he doesn't need to eat anything, he doesn't need to drink anything. You need to love me. You need to give me food with love. You need to give me water to drink. You need to give me chach to drink out of love. Love makes the Almighty Lord Krishna forget his almightiness. He is a little boy. That's all he knows, that he's a little boy. And he is very hungry and he's very thirsty. And the only one who can satisfy his hunger is his mother. So every child runs to the mother. So does Shri Krishna. He is now bhukha and pyasa. He's hungry and thirsty. Shri Maharaji has through Maharaji's inspiration, Prem Mandir has been constructed. Many years ago it was constructed and now it's become world famous. in Vrindavan. Prem Mandir in Vrindavan has become world famous. I was in a temple in Trinidad a few years ago, and the Pandit, who was the Pandit of the temple, he said, Didiji, there is a very nice video I'd like to show the congregation, and I hope you'll enjoy it also. And what did he show? He showed clips of Prem Mandir. He asked me, you go to India? I said, yes, every year. Do you know this mandir? I said, quite well. Prem Mandir. Shri Maharaji explained why he named it Prem Mandir. Premadhin Brahm Sham Ved ne bataya Yate yaya naam Prem Mandir dharaya. The Vedas have said that Premadhina Brahmasham, the Supreme Lord Shamsundar, Sri Krishna, is under the control of the power of love. And this is why I have named this temple Prem Mandir, the Mandir of love. Not a Mandir of Sri Radha Krishna, not a Mandir of Sita Ram, because the deities of Sri Krishna, Radha and Krishna are there, the deities of Sita and Ram are there on the top floor. But he did not, Sri Maharaji did not name the temple after God. He named it after love because, quite simply, because love controls Sita and Ram. Love controls Radha and Krishna. This is why. Love is what impresses God. God does not look at how much knowledge you have. God looks at the love, the amount of love you have. God does not look at how well we speak Sanskrit or whether or not we know Sanskrit. God does not look at this one who is reciting verses in Sanskrit and this one who does not know any Sanskrit at all. He just looks at who is shedding tears of love for him. The scholar goes to the mandir, he prays before Sri Krishna, very properly in Sanskrit. Sahasrashi rekha purukha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhu Migvam Sarvatas Pritavat Yatishtad Dashangulam. He recites from the Vedas, but there is pride in his voice because he cannot forget that he's very scholarly, that he's a great, great scholar, that his knowledge of Sanskrit is impeccable. He cannot forget that. So when you listen to him, you'd think that he's picking a fight with God. That pride in the voice, that arrogance. But then on the other hand, there is a villager who does not even know Hindi properly, forget about Sanskrit. And he is speaking wrong Sanskrit in front of God. He says Ramaya Namaha, Krishnaya Namaha. And then he conjugates wrongly, he says Vishnaya Namaha. And the scholar cringes. Oh, what a fool. It's not supposed to be Vishnaya Namaha, you fool. It's Vishnave Namaha. Don't you know? And if you don't know Sanskrit, why are you praying in Sanskrit? And the villager feels very, very sorry. He feels very sad that he has offended God because he has not prayed in proper Sanskrit. But Sri Krishna says, I am happy with the tears that are flowing from your eyes. It doesn't matter that you're not conjugating properly. The scholar knows Sanskrit perfectly, but that does not impress me, that does not please me. What pleases me is the love that you have in your heart. In the scholar's voice, there is no love. There is only pride of learning. God does not care about our knowledge. And anyhow, the greatest knowledge is love for God. If you love God, you have the greatest knowledge of all. Outwardly, the milkmaidens of Vrindavan, the gopis, were illiterate. They didn't go to school. They don't know how to sign their name. If someone were to ask them, please sign your name on this official document, the gopi would say, I will give you my thumbprint because I don't know how to read or write. That's why we call such a person Angutha Chap. She doesn't know how to read or write. She can't sign her name, so she gives the imprint of her thumb. So outwardly, the gopis are illiterate milk maidens. But even Brahma, the creator, he falls at their lotus feet. He wants to be the dust of the gopis' lotus feet. Why? Brahmaji is so knowledgeable. He has created everything out of nothing. There were no building blocks. There were no ingredients, raw ingredients that he used. There was nothing. And out of nothing, he created everything. Tasmadva etasmadatmana akasha sambhutah akashad vayuhu vayuragni, etc. First he created ether or space. Then he created, out of that he created air. From air he created fire. From fire he created water. How amazing. From fire he created water. From water he created earth. So there were no building blocks, there were no raw ingredients, and Brahmaji created everything out of nothing. Scientists create something out of what nature has given. They don't create, rather, they discover that which was already in existence. So it seems like they're creating, but they're only discovering. But Brahmaji has created everything. But that Brahmaji, who is so knowledgeable, he falls at the feet of the illiterate gopis. The greatest jnani of his time, Uddhav, fell at the feet of the gopis, accepted them as his gurus. And from them he received the gift of love and the gift of tears of love. So God does not look at our knowledge, he looks at love. God does not look at anything else. What kind of family background do you have? God has never asked anyone. How much money did you have on earth? Did you have any famous people in your family? How famous were you? How many people knew your name? How many degrees did you have? Oh, you didn't even go to high school? Not good. Oh, you quit college? God doesn't look at any of this. He just looks at the love that we have, and true knowledge is that which leads to love for God. Sri Maharaj honors the power of love in these beautiful words. By chanting his name, one can attain liberation from Maya, but he, tied to the mortar, the grinding stone with a rope, the same Lord begs the gopis for his own liberation. Yashoda Maya ties him up, and he is asking for liberation. The giver of liberation, the name Mukund, means giver of liberation. And that giver of liberation is asking for his own liberation. There's no ukhal, there's no rope that can tie him up. But that rope has become very strong because it is a rope of love. It's not just a rope, an ordinary rope. There's Yashoda's love in that rope. So now he cannot have his own, cannot liberate himself. He can't free himself. What can he not do? He can do anything. But when he is confronted with love, he says, no, I can't open this rope. He becomes helpless. He becomes very weak. The Lord, whose power Maya makes great jnanis dance to her tune, dances for buttermilk offered as reward by the gopis. The gopis love him so much. And so he responds to their love. A gopi says to Kanhaiya, Kanhaiya, do you want some chach? You want some buttermilk? She knows he's greedy for buttermilk. He says, yes. His eyes become big and he says, yes, I want buttermilk. I want chach. Well, you'll have to dance for me. So he dances. And she says, I didn't like that dance. Dance again. Do the Mayur Nritya, Kanhaiya. Do the peacock dance for me. And he dances. Then some more gopis come in and they said, what is this? We missed the dance. Kanhaiya, dance for us too. And they both promise. The ones who have come in, they all promise him more buttermilk. So he's dancing. Greedy for buttermilk. Greedy for buttermilk, really? No. Responding to their love. They're giving him that chach, buttermilk, with love, so he's willing to dance for an hour or two just for that buttermilk, because that has love included in it. The Supreme Lord, who does not appear to even Lord Shankar in Samadhi, goes to the homes of gopis to listen to their sweet words of abuse. The gopis call him all sorts of names. Chaur, Jar, Shikhamani. You are the topmost thief. Chor, Jar, you are the topmost paramour. The gopi has a husband, but she loves Sri Krishna, so he's a paramour, that is Jar Prem. So they call him the worst names ever. If a person in the world is called these names, he will be so offended that he may even murder the one who is calling him these names. But the gopis are calling him these names with love. And so he's not responding, he's not reacting to the names he's calling them, they're calling him. He's responding to the love with which they are calling him these names. The Rasik saints are such that they speak very lovingly to Bhagwan. And when they speak to him, it would seem to the world that they are actually insulting him. Jo main aisa janti, preet kare dukh hoy, nagar dhindhora peetti, preet na kariyo koi, says the great Mirabai. O townspeople, be warned, do not fall in love with that treacherous Shyamsundar. I fell in love with him and I am suffering. And she said, Ghayal ki gati ghayal jane. I am so wounded with the arrow of his piercing looks that only another person who is wounded in a similar fashion can know my pain. Pain? There's a lot of love. There is bliss in that pain. She's telling the townspeople, don't anyone fall in love with him. That treacherous Shyamsundar. I'm warning you. Don't say that I did not warn you. So her words are filled with love, but they sound as if they are the words of someone who hates God or who is an atheist. Don't anyone fall in love with him. So the gopis are calling him all sorts of names, and he willingly forcibly enters their homes to hear those sweet words of abuse. Sri Maharaj Ji used to say that when in Golok, he gets only words of praise. He gets to hear only words of praise, and he gets tired of that. So he wants to hear the words of abuse. It's like someone who's given a lot of sweets to eat. Here, please have some barfi, gulab jamun, rasmalai, rasgulla, all sorts of sweets. And he said, I'm tired. I want something salty. So Shri Krishna says, I'm so tired of hearing words of praise. I want some words of abuse. And the gopis say, here you go. And they abuse him so much. He becomes so happy. He repeatedly bothers the gopi. He pulls at her chunari. He tries to, he throws pebbles at the water pot of the ghada, just so that he could hear her words of abuse. She will abuse him. She will chastise him. She will call him all sorts of names, and he will say, oh, that's so sweet. So sweet. Sometimes when the gopi says something to him, she abuses him, he pretends that he didn't hear her. And he says, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Can you say it again? And the gopi gets angrier, and she calls him even worse names. And he still says, I didn't hear you. That is because those words are filled with love. Jako kaha ved hai Ajit. One of the names of God is Ajit, one who is invincible. No one can conquer him. The Lord, who is unconquered and invincible, receives the title Ranachor, the one who shows his back to the battlefield. Jarasandha was giving him chase, so Sri Krishna was running away from Jarasandha, and he didn't even look back to see if Jarasandha was still following him. He did not stop running until he reached Dwarika. So the people of Dwarika lovingly call him Ranachor. Maharo Raja Ranachor. Our king, he was the king of Dwarika. So they lovingly say, our king was a coward. He showed his back to the battlefield. Now can you imagine? Calling God a coward? And he is so happy hearing these words. Maharo Raja Ranachor. How sweet this kirtan is. People of Dwarika chant this kirtan. They sing these words to this day. He's the essence of bliss, but the same Lord cries to go into Yashoda Maiya's lap. The Vedas say that even fear is afraid of him, and the same Lord cries, looking at the thin little stick held by Yashoda. The Vedas say that he is so frightening that even fear is afraid of him. Fear personified is Yamraj, the god of death. Yamraj, even the name frightens us, doesn't it? Yamraj, why are you taking that name? Shubh Shubh Bolo. Speak auspiciously. Don't say the name of Yamraj. Why are you saying that? Do you know something that I don't know? So even the name of a Yamraj frightens us. Yamraj frightens everyone. But even Yamraj becomes terrified. He is afraid of Sri Krishna. Bhaya dasyagnistapati bhayattapati surayah bhaya dindrascha vayushcha mrityurdhavati panchamah kathopanishad. So everyone is afraid of him. Fear personified is afraid of him. And yet that Lord Krishna, controlled by love, he is afraid. When he's a child, he's afraid of a thin little stick held in the hand of his mother, Yashoda. Yashoda just frightens him. She just disciplines him by showing him the stick. She doesn't have to use it. She just shows it to him and he becomes afraid. What is a little stick to you, Maharaj? You are the Supreme Lord. No, but here I am faced with love, Yashoda Maiya's love. And I am afraid because he forgets who he is. Love makes him forget who he is, and he thinks himself to be a little child who is afraid of being beaten by his mother, who's waving a thin little stick in her hand to frighten him. And it works. He becomes very afraid. The Vedas say that the Supreme Lord is known by the Vedas. No one can know him. He's known by the Vedas. The same Lord becomes a horse for the cowherd boys to ride upon. When Kanhaiya plays with his friends, they have an understanding that whoever loses the game will become the horse for the rest of the boys to ride upon. So sometimes Sri Dama loses, so Sri Dama becomes a horse, and everyone takes turns riding on his shoulders. Sri Dama becomes a horse, and the horse rider, one of the boys, and they all take turns. Sri Krishna deliberately makes himself lose. He loses the game quite frequently and deliberately, so that he may serve his devotees, the cowherd boys. He becomes a horse for them, and they all take turns. And they're all bigger than him, taller than him. They weigh more than him, and each and every one of them is riding on his shoulders. They take turns, and he is so happy. He's so grateful for having this seva. He's grateful for the opportunity to serve his devotees and to receive kicks from them in his stomach. And he thinks, I am receiving the foot dust of my devotee. How fortunate I am. That is the power of love. The Vedas proclaim him to be beyond the reach of the intellect. Human intellect cannot know God. Human intellect cannot even know the self. Using our faulty and material intellect, we have yet to figure out who we are. It sounds unbelievable, but it is true that we don't even know who we are. We don't know who we are. We are thinking the body to be the self. We are so confused. Our intellect has not yet decided that we are the Atma. How then can the intellect, the puny little intellect we have, how can it know God? Logic does not work in the area of God. And this is a mistake that many, many people make. Because not being able to understand the divine works of God, they say, but this does not make sense. This is not God. He's getting hungry and he's thirsty. That's not God. He's married and he has 16,108 wives. That can't be God. It's not logical. We try to understand God using our material logic and our faulty intellect, and they both fail. God is not a subject of logic. God transcends material intellect. Our material senses, mind and intellect fail to know God. This is why it is said that when He graces you, it's only then that you can know Him. You cannot know Him using your intellect. Soi janahi chehi dehu janai. The Ramayana says, only through His grace can you know Him. Tumhari hi kripa tumahi raghunandan, janat bhagat bhagat urchandan. Ram kripa binu sunu khagarai, jani na jai Ram prabhutai. At many different places in the Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas ji has said that human intellect fails to know God. But the same Sri Krishna, who cannot be known by material intellect, he's helping the gopis. What is he doing? There he is. He's helping the gopi lift baskets full of cow dung. He's so great that the intellect fails to know him. Oh my goodness. And yet, what is he doing? He's helping the gopi put cow dung in baskets. Because the gopi says to Shamsundar, Kanhaiya, can you help me? He said, help me. Why should I help you? I'll pay you. How will you pay me? I have a lot of cow dung to put in the baskets. So for every basket you fill with cow dung, I will give you one generous fistful of freshly churned butter. Is it a deal? He says, deal. So he starts helping. Cow dung, he puts it in the basket. And just a little while later, he says, hold on. She asks, what's wrong? Look, you and I, we are illiterate. You don't know how to count, and I don't know how to count either. How are you going to pay me? How will we know how many baskets you have I have helped you fill? She says, well, I have a solution for that. I'll put a little tika on your forehead, tika made with cow dung. Cow dung tilak, I'll put on your forehead. Then, when we get home, I will get someone who is educated, someone who knows how to count the number of tikas, and that's how many fistfuls of butter I'll give you. He says, okay. So the gopi keeps filling his forehead with cow dung tika. Pretty soon his forehead is full. And then she moves on to the cheeks. And soon afterwards the cheeks are all filled and the work is also done. And they both walk home, which is not far away, home of the gopi. And then he says, now get someone to count this and then give me my payment. She says, fair enough. but Kanhaiya, your face is so dirty. How are you going to eat butter with this? So why don't you wash up and I'll bring the butter. She's so sneaky. She fools him and immediately he washes the face and now there's no more cow dung on his face. And then he asks her, okay, now I wash my face, give me my payment. She said, what do you mean? Well, get someone to count that cow dung. Oh, you fooled me. And Thakurji begins to cry. Just the tears are about to drop from the eyes. And she said, no, Kanhaiya, no, don't cry. I was only joking with you. I will give you as much fresh butter, makhan, that you want to eat. And he said, well, then bring it to me. She says, silly boy, I have to first churn the curd, then I'll extract the butter. So her trick is to have Shamsundar's darshan. She wants Kanhaiya's darshan as she churns the curd. So there she is. She strategically places herself with the churner in front of Shamsundar so she can have his darshan and she does her work. Ek panth do kaj. She's having his darshan and she's getting the work done. And then after some time, she says, okay, now here's a pot of freshly churned butter. Take as much as you want. And Kanhaiya is very happy. So he, the Supreme Lord, is who defies material logic, material intellect. He is helping the gopi fill the baskets, her baskets with cow dung. He's responding to the love of the gopi. The great yogis attempt to bring him into their hearts through the path of yoga. The same Nandanandan, son of Nand, tries to appease Radharani through his tears. The Lord who provides for the entire world begs grace from Radharani. Says Jagatguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, the Lord whose grace is besieged by the great Sanak and other eternally liberated souls desires the grace of Radharani. Because Radharani is the highest expression of love. No one can ever touch the level of Radharani. Radharani has attained that highest level of love that even Shamsundar has not. So Shamsundar is always a servant of Radharani. He considers himself very fortunate to be in the service of Radharani. As he massages her lotus feet, he sheds tears of gratitude and love because he's so thankful for the seva that Radharani has given him. Radharani is the highest expression, divine expression of love, and Shamsundar is controlled by love. And this is the reason that he is always serving Radharani. Of course, but because Radha and Krishna are just one and the same, Radharani considers it her great fortune to serve him also. Do sevak, do sevya paraspar. They're both servants and masters of one another. In case someone becomes doubtful that, oh, Radharani is greater than Sri Krishna, that is why he serves her. No, they're one and the same. So there is no question of one being greater than the other. But because he is a slave of love and Radharani is the greatest expression of love, he is always a servant of Radharani. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.